Hey again, everyone. Welcome to another Name in Progress. This is number 8, I believe. Baker sucks and is late as always, or as tardy as I believe they call it from across the pond. And we're here with John Perkis, who
Hello.
from Actualol Games. Hi, John. How's it going?
Hey, yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
It's all right. For those of you who don't know, John is from the YouTube channel Actualol and has pretty fastly becoming what I like to class a B-rate celebrity in the board game world. We've seen him on other live chats, or I personally have, playing Side, I believe, with some of
Yeah.
the no pun included guys, Paul Grogan from CGE and Game and Rules as well. So, John, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, your channel, why you started it, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I started my channel, I think, around July last year, and I've done sort of a bunch of videos, a few reviews, and a few top tens, and I'm trying to sort of, I guess my description is board game videos with a sense of humor, but the idea is just to try and do something funny and silly. So I'm reviewing games, but I've kind of got some characters in there and some jokes, and I've got a sort of background in writing comedy, so that's what I wanted to bring to board game videos. I mean, I'm not saying that other people don't do it as well, but that's just the kind of videos I wanted to make. Yeah, so I dress up in silly wigs and kind of occasionally attempt a bad accent, and but at the same time talk about games that I love, and yeah. I think, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for at the moment. I've done a few vlogs in here and there because my videos take quite a long time to make. I tend to kind of script them, and so I think I put a bit too much time into it, and so then I can't produce as many videos as kind of other channels can. So I'm doing some vlogs here and there talking about games that I'm getting rid of or games that I've decided to keep. But then, yeah, I prefer to do the more sort of in-depth review or top 10. I recently did like a mega review of zombie board games, so I was reviewing like 5 games at a time, things like that. So that's kind of my approach.
I really enjoyed that zombie one you did, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
The Rick and Carl talk was just kind of cracking me up as well, because I love Walking Dead,
Yeah.
as much as last season really sucked in my opinion. But I'm really, I love Walking Dead. So when I caught you playing Rick, I was just like, oh man, this was classic.
Where are you up to with it? Because I used to watch it, and then when I started doing that video, I started watching it again so I could sort of remind myself of all the characters and stuff. And so I'm now, I think, up to date pretty much. Are you like up to date, or are you like?
Yeah, I'm well completely up to date as far as UK standards go. I don't know if
Okay.
yeah, I think actually UK and America is the same with Walking Dead actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, yeah, completely up to date. Looking forward to, I believe the season finale is coming quite soon as well.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, I'm loving this season. It was just last season. I don't know how you felt about it, but
Was that the one in the village, or the town?
that's where they kind of found that's where they found the village, or Alexandria in that one, I believe. And,
Oh, okay. Oh, so you like the season where they're in Alexandria?
yeah, but this one's okay. But the last one, I felt like the most exciting thing that happened was that they found water, and then it rained, and then they didn't even take the water anyway. So what was the point? But yeah, it was. It's been good. But look who's decided to join us.
Yes, I have decided to. Wait, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, yep. I've decided to grace you with my presence. You're welcome.
Oh, well, I was going to say thank you, but for that attitude, no. Guys, Baker from Board Online, Board Offline, and the other half of Name in Progress. So, Baker, do you want to apologize for being late to everyone first?
What was that?
I was saying, do you want to apologize for being late first of all, or do you just want to be your rude self and just
well,
think you're gonna
it depends. What makes me seem more American? Apologizing? That seems Canadian, right? Should I not?
If you try to sue us for being late, then that would be a good.
Yeah, that's right. For starting without me, I'm going to sue you. That seems the appropriate action. No, yeah, sorry about that. No, it's crazy in my house right now. So I got a baby in the house. My brother and his fiance are in town, so.
Okay,
so,
we'll let you.
Yeah, but I'm only. What time is it? It's 8:23. That's 8 minutes late. I guess that counts. Yeah, it's Georgie and there's the wife.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
Okay. Oh, and there's my brother. That's not alcohol, we'll say in the cup.
Okay, so John was just taking us through what he's been doing with his channel. I was just kind of saying that he's fastly approaching sort of B-rate celebrity status, as we call it in the board game world.
Yeah,
And,
I'd say he's right around B level now, for sure.
Oh, thanks, guys. I don't know who else is on the B level, but I'll take it.
not
I'd say
many.
you're in that. Yeah, you're. I'm trying to think. Maybe I think the Dice Tower is like B plus. They're not. You know, if Will Wheaton's level A, then.
Well, the B
That
level
means
must
Dice
be
Tower-
massive then, because I'm definitely on the bottom end of that, and Dice Tower is like miles away. But yeah, okay.
It's to do with the quality of your videos more than anything,
Oh,
John.
okay.
Like you said, the work that you put in is it's very it's obvious that you put a lot of work in, and it pays off. It really does. So
Thanks, guys.
it's awesome for that.
Georgie and I are like around G levels, so you know, we're
That's my first name.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you're.
So yeah, I think we're just going to sort of things that we've been playing recently. John's already taken us over his channel and what he's planning to do, Baker. So you've missed that. So you're gonna have to watch it back later if you fancy it. Other than that, games that we've been playing. Baker, do you want to take us off? Anything you've been doing recently? Is Baker still alive? Yes, he is.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, I'm pulling up my my very fancy board game stats app, so I can tell you exactly what they're playing.
You need an app for that.
Oh no, sorry. I like to be able to be specific. No, I've still been playing a lot of Mage Knight. And Abyss has gotten a lot more plays recently. Actually, that's one that people don't talk about a whole lot anymore. But it's even after that expansion came out. But that one is really a fun one, and people, I feel that was not getting. You never hear anybody talking about it hardly, except for like Tom Vassell put it on his top 10 when he did the letter A for his alphabet thing that he's done, or whatever it is. And other than that, you don't really hear about it anymore.
I think
Have y'all played that yet?
I think your internet connection is horrendous, Baker, because you're kind of dropping in and out sound-wise.
Hold on. Let me know.
In case you're wondering, John, this is why we say G-rate. Wi-Fi and now Baker's going for a little walk. How about when we wait for Baker to
Sorry, guys.
back with that? John, do you want to tell us anything you've been playing recently, or?
Yeah, I was just. I wish I had the stats app that Baker had. It's weird. It's kind of like completely gone from my memory what I played recently. I've kind of been just doing it. I tend to kind of play a lot of different games. I didn't tend to play the same thing more than once in quick succession. So a couple of games. I played Karuba, the game from Rudiger Dawn, which is a really cool sort of family weight, I think gateway level game where you've each got a map of a beach and you're building pathways for adventures and stuff. And it's kind of a game that when you describe it, I don't think it sounds that interesting, but when you play it, it just kind of really clicks. So I've been playing that a bit. Sheep and is a Japanese game that I heard about from Z Garcia, and I managed to get that in like a math trade, and that's a really cool. Like you draft cards, and then you're building like a little farm, and you're moving these sheep around, but you can steal sheep off other people. That's just kind of like a lightweight card game. That was pretty good fun. I'm just trying to think of. I'm trying to have a look at my my board game geek list.
It's always when the pressure's on, right? When you start to talk about, oh, well, we've been playing. Oh, blank-minded.
I played the Bloody Inn for the second time the other day. That was quite good. Yeah, the card game where you're killing off guests and stuff.
That one I really want to get at. That one sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's got a really cool theme, and the artwork's really nice as well. I played it once 2-player, and it felt like, I think it's just a bit more interesting 4-player because there are more people getting killed, and you can like hide the dead bodies under other people's buildings and stuff, and then you have to share the money with them and things like that. And there's kind of more risk for people getting caught by the police, because that's like another element, that if you have a dead body and you haven't buried it, and then there's a policeman that comes and stays in the hotel, then you're going to get caught and you're going to have to pay off the gravedigger. So yeah, I think it's a bit more interesting 4-player game. So yeah, I was glad to try that again.
Does that hold the theme as well as, because I heard a lot of people say that it's a very thematic game for kind of essentially like a card game, really, right? So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't hold the theme in the sense of like a proper, you know, really in-depth thematic game, but I think it, for, like you say, for a card game, I think it does as good a job as it sort of can do. And I can't really think of any moments where I was like, oh, that doesn't make any sense, but I'm sure there must be one or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. You have like these. You bribe the guests, and then you use them to do other actions. But so some of them, it's like some of the people you bribe like to kill people. So if you use them to kill people, they don't mind and they stick around. But if you use someone else to kill someone who doesn't like killing people, then they like leave the hotel, because I guess they don't want to be friends with you anymore. And it's the same for all the other jobs. So there's like people that like to who like to dig graves and bury bodies, and then there's people who like to bribe other people, and yeah, so it's cool. I guess it like most games are going to feel the same. You know, some thematic games you kind of tell a story, right? But you couldn't really play the Bloody Inn twice and then really remember the difference between the two plays, because you're just doing the same thing every time you play it. You're killing people and burying people, and you know, you don't really remember who you're killing and who you're burying, because it's just points. But
yeah,
it's still good for what it is. Yeah.
Hey, is my internet connection looking better, y'all? Does it seem like it's more better?
I think so.
Yeah, it looks better, and I can certainly hear you without you sounding like a robot now.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I am not a robot, is what I tell you.
Right. Okay.
I'm sitting right next to my router now, so it better be better. Is all I can say.
Okay. Baker, what else? You said you were playing Mage Knight.
Okay, so yeah, I played Mage Knight a couple times, which getting like 2 or 3 plays in a month of that game is great, because it's 2 to 4 hour commitment every time you do it. But so that was fun. We're still playing a lot of Splendor, but then Abyss is really the one that, because I had set that one down for a while and hadn't played it. It's probably been 4 or 5 months since I played Abyss, and then broke it back out with the wife, and we realized, whoa, we actually really like this game a lot. And so we played it a few times, and I got into one of my game groups too, and they were surprised at how good it was. I don't know what it is about it, because it looks amazing, but people just don't seem to play it a whole lot. So that's definitely one we've been enjoying. And then, of course, I won the game Kitty Paw from Board Game Giveaways,
cool.
Which is not a game I would have intentionally acquired. However, obviously it's going to be a game you're going to want to play with kids probably, but it's actually pretty fun. It definitely makes you think. And when you get to because the whole thing is, you've got like a card that gives you a pattern that you've got to create with these little tiles that are what's 6 sides? That's I can't remember what a 6-sided shape is. Anyway. The cats are like, hey, yeah, thank you. There you go. So all the cats are hexagon tiles, and they are obviously adorable. But then on top of that, basically you have to create this pattern that you have on the card, and if you're the first one to do it, you get a certain number of points based on how difficult it was. And the last person, because when you finish it, you're required by the rules to say meow. And then the last person to say meow gets negative points, which is obviously a little bit ridiculous, but it definitely makes for some interesting times around the table. When you get to level 3, which is the highest level in the game, they are really, really difficult patterns to wrap your head around as far as how to create them. So anyway, it definitely makes you think. It's surprising how difficult it gets when you get up to that 3rd level. But you got kids, especially probably, I don't know, probably even little boys would think the cats are cute and everything. But I got a little girl that just loves it because of that. So something I want to check out if you got kids and stuff.
I mean, it gives you another excuse to get a game at the table with the kids, right? So
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
can't go wrong. John, just before we move on to me, have you been playing anything else recently, or
Yeah, well, I've been playing a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, I just went through. I just wrote down. So if you asked me again, I'd actually have something to answer. I played a cool party game called Stinker, which is where it's kind of a bit like they call it on Board Game Geek. In the description, it's called Bananagrams Against Humanity. So it's like a combination of Cards Against Humanity with Bananagrams, where instead of I mean, it's not that much like Cards Against Humanity, but it's like any of those games, like I guess Apples to Apples. I've never played that, or Say Anything, where you're asked a question and then you have to come up with an answer. But in this game, you're doing it with Scrabble tiles, and so it's just really fun because you're kind of forced into this corner to come up with stupid words because you don't have all the letters that you need, kind of thing, to just come up with anything. So that's kind of a fun party game that I definitely recommend. I've also been playing. I played Archaeology: The New Expedition, which is like a new card game. Well, it's not a new game, but it's a re-release of an older game. And that's a cool little card game from Z-Man Games. It's kind of push your luck, where you're digging for treasures and then you're kind of collecting sets of the treasures to sell to the museums and stuff. But you can lose like half of your hand at any time if someone draws like a sandstorm and stuff. So there's like this risk thing of, do you keep stuff in your hand to try and build up bigger sets and sell it for loads of money, or will like you lose it all to a sandstorm? And so that's kind of just a fun like filler game, really. So yeah, those are the kind of newer games, and then I've just been going back and playing like I tend to sort of play groups of games if I'm thinking about making a video. So like for ages I was playing all the zombie games because obviously I was making that zombie video, and now I'm kind of looking towards the next one. So I played a game of Mystery of the Abbey, which is like Cluedo in a monastery or in an abbey. That's kind of fun, like family game where you're trying to solve a murder. And I've also managed to try the Game of Thrones trivia game that's coming out from Fantasy Flight. That's pretty cool. Where it's more than just like a standard trivia game. There's like a map, and you're having to. It's like area control of the different castles, and so when you're asked when it's your turn to be asked a question, you have to pick which castle you're going to go for. But you also kind of, it's like a push your luck thing of, you can answer one question to only take up like a little bit of that castle, so you won't control it that much, or 2 questions is bigger, and 3 questions is even bigger. But you only win that spot in the castle if you get all 3 of those questions right. So it's quite a risk to like answer all 3 of them. And there's a few other things, that you get these resources that you can then use to buy like characters from the show, and then they have special powers, so you can like steal someone else's question, or you can answer a question for free without having to know the answer and stuff. And there's also like a little alliance thing where if you don't know the answer to a question, you can ask someone else to answer it for you, and they'll get the resources, but you'll get the control of the castle. So there's kind of like a balancing there. It's still a trivia game, but it's kind of cool.
So that one, is that based off the books mainly, or is that just?
It's actually it's actually based off the TV show. It's like got all the artwork of the characters, and the questions are of the TV show. Obviously, I mean, most of the time it's the same thing. So if you've read, like I played it with a guy that had read the books, and he was really good at it because he knew all like the really detailed stuff. But when you're watching the TV show, you tend to sort of forget what random guys like some guy's name is, right? Because it's just like really weird sounding. But if you've read it in a book like 10 times, then I think it sticks in your memory a bit more. So yeah, it's based off the TV show. And there's also occasionally like a weird question, like I feel like there's one like, what's the name of like the casting director or something stupid, or like in season 6, like what location did they film in for? So that, like, I don't mind that question. So the multiple choice was like Croatia, Spain, or Morocco or something, and you had to. Yeah. That's not watching the TV show. That's kind of being a geek and like knowing, where they film it and stuff. So but there's only a few of those questions, so it's not the end of the world. You could just skip them. But yeah, it's kind of cool game.
Yeah, so that sounds interesting. You said that was the Fantasy Flight one that's coming out. Yeah. That's the one that's coming out soon, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when it's coming out. I remember seeing the Dice Tower's coverage of the Gamma Trade Show, and in a presentation there it said summer, but I thought it was coming out sooner than that because I kind of figured it was going to come out with the TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know when but it's definitely coming out like fairly soon, yeah, in the next few months or so.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that sounds like one I could definitely get any of my friends to play, regardless of whether they want to play board games or not. To be honest,
yeah,
given how popular
exactly.
that show is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
do you-
realize that there was more to it than just trivia because I've kind of just dismissed it because it's called the trivia game or whatever. And but with
yeah.
that area control aspect, that actually sounds like it could be interesting. So
Well, yeah, I mean, it's still a trivia game, but it
right,
does have some cool gaming elements, and so you definitely need to have watched Game of Thrones, and kind of be into it. But yeah, it's cool. Like, you can play it safe and just answer loads of one questions, which pretty much, because also the questions get a bit harder. So you've got a card and there's three questions on it, and if you just go for one question, you answer the top question. That one tends to be the easiest. And so you could go through like that and just kind of win the game. But then somebody I was playing it with, they weren't really fussed about the gaming elements. They were just really excited to like do a quiz about Game of Thrones. So they
right.
always went for three questions, and they always they basically lost the game because of it. So you do have to be a bit tactical with it. Yeah, I think it's worth checking out if you like Game of Thrones, and yeah, it is more interesting than just standard trivia games. I can't remember what I was going to say, but yeah, it's so yeah, you guys. Oh yeah, the other thing that's kind of interesting about it, although I don't think it's all that important, is that they've split the questions up by season. So if you happen to be playing with some foolish
So you
person that
don't get
hasn't,
spoilers.
yeah, if they haven't watched all the series, which I mean, who hasn't watched all the series, right? But
Yeah.
they can just answer certain questions. You can like leave out the entire deck for season 4 or whatever, and then they won't get spoiled. Although I don't think the game has all that much spoilers in anyway, because it just tends to be like it doesn't cover the major events too much. It's more just like real specific details, and yeah. But yeah, so yeah, it's obviously Fantasy Flight's really good production value. It looks really
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, but it comes in a massive box. I think that's a bit overkill. Like it comes in a proper, Fantasy Flight, like the Game of Thrones board game. It's the same size as that, but
Do
what
the
it is like a
components
board.
take up anywhere near that much room, or is it just like a big empty
No,
box like Machikoro?
right, exactly. It's probably takes up a bit more. It's got a board in it, so that takes up
Okay.
obviously the width of the box. But then there's like some cards that are maybe like this much. But I think the idea is there. It seems quite ready to for expansion packs because like you can just
I guess that's
add and
true.
add cards to it, and they kind of
Yeah.
need to. Like there is a lot of questions in there, but I think if you were really into it, you could probably get through it in maybe I don't know, like 10 games or something. Like you really churn through the deck because every person's turn it's one card and there's maybe like 200 cards in the game and they're double
Right.
sided. So I mean I'm not a mathematician, but yeah, it doesn't seem like there's loads of replayability in it. But having said that, I think once you went through the deck once, you would have forgotten all the questions and forgotten all the answers. So there's that as well.
Plus, it's Fantasy Flight, so let's face it, they're going to churn out as much expansions as they possibly can for a
Yeah,
possible,
Yeah,
for a
yeah, and
popular
that
game.
case,
yeah.
it's kind of nice they left that room in there because yeah, it's kind of annoying when you have to buy a pack for an expansion, but there's no room in the original box, and now you got the box and then a little box, and so it's nice
Yeah.
if they left the room in there for that purpose.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
reminds
yeah.
me. Speaking of box inlays, just really quickly, right? So, John, I saw you do the you in your zombie video. You spoke about Black Plague as well.
Yes, yeah.
I have a little bit of OCD, I guess. So when I'm putting Black Plague or anything like that away, so I was around at my mate's house the other day. We played Black Plague. We lost miserably on I think it was only like the third mission in the
Oh
boot.
really?
Yeah, lost miserably. But when I was putting everything away, the stack of cards that fits into the plastic inlay with the abomination and all the other things is like 2 cards too high, and it just drove me insane. Like it just hovered just above, and I couldn't get in. And I was like, "There's no physical way to put this in apart from taking it out and putting it somewhere else." And it really, honestly,
Yeah.
it bugged me greatly.
Yeah, I had a real problem with the insert in that game. Just before I talk about the insert, did you play with 6 characters?
No, we just played with 3.
Okay, because I'd never played normal Zombicide before, and I understand that in the original Zombicide you can just play with as many characters as you are, and that's what we did. Although we happened to play with 5 players, but as far as I understand it, because I was talking to someone on BGG about it, or I asked a question on it, is that you have to play with all 6 characters, or otherwise it makes the game way too hard. So that might be why you lost. I don't know, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, going back to the insert, I can't get that box closed, and and you've got the inner box, right? And I thought, oh, that's really cool. Like you keep all the miniatures, and there's all like the little they've done a proper plastic molded thing. That's really cool. So if you want to paint them, even though I never will, you can like put them all in the box like that. But yeah, the cards don't fit, and so I've had to get rid of that thing. I still can't fit it all in the box with all the boards. But with the cards, I've actually sleeved mine, and so you definitely can't fit them in. But if you put them sideways, they still fit in. But yeah, you might have a problem. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely a really annoying insert. And I've got the inner cardboard box is just like in my cupboard now, and I don't want to get rid of it because it kind of seems useful, but at the same time, I'm not using it. And also one of the inserts, like having them all in those little trays is like really cool. It looks cool, but it just takes up way too much space.
Yeah, and time to put them, like,
yeah,
it's easy once you get it, but to start with, you're like, okay, so this is the zombie runners, and then the fatties, and then what?
Yeah.
Where do these go?
Especially with the survivors, because they all have like one guy has a sword poking up this way, and so you're like, which is the slot for them? Yeah, yeah, it takes too long.
I know, man.
But did you enjoy it otherwise?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I love the leveling up aspect of being able to get different skills, and I can't even remember which character I played now, but it was the one where I basically got an extra melee attack once I leveled up to level 1, an extra action at level 2. Yeah, it was really fun. And as far as we only played it with the 3, we were fairly close to doing it. It was one where you had to kill the Abomination and kill a Necromancer and get all the objectives on the boards. We got like 3 or 4 of the objectives. We did kill the Abomination and we did kill the Necromancer. So it would have just been a case of trying to get the rest of the objectives, but eventually it just ended up snowballing. Like we just drew the wrong cards from the zombie deck, and there was just so many of them coming down the alleyways at the end. Which is like, there's no way we can do that. Like there was a time where we wished we had more of the dragon bile, so we could just set another fire and just kill them all as fast as we could, essentially. But without any luck, we went searching and then we got caught and they just crushed us. But it's still a really fun game, and I much prefer it to the normal Zombicide with the guns and everything else. I much prefer the fantasy setup of it.
Oh, really? Yeah, I actually prefer. I think I would prefer the non-fantasy thing, but clearly, like this seems to be the improved version of the game, and kind of everyone that's played the original Zombicide just seems to prefer like the slight rules tweaks, and of course like the dashboards are really awesome and stuff. And so I kind of just like, oh, I'm not going to mess around with like the old version if everyone says this one's better. I prefer the kind of American, like, because it just feels more like a zombie film, with the guns and stuff, and I guess it's a bit like The Walking Dead and all of those kind of stuff. I'm not a big fantasy guy, but I can live with it, and it's not, I still really enjoy it, so I just kind of get on with it.
Could the dashboards from Black Plague be used in the other Zombicide? Like, I haven't seen the setup. Is it possible you could just use them in the other one that way? Because that's what I've heard is one of the big improvements.
Yeah. I'm not sure they're completely compatible, because you've got these character cards in Zombicide that are perfect. In Black Plague that are perfectly designed for the dashboard, and the pegs fit in. And I don't think they exist in the older game. I would love for them to do like an updated version of the older game, because I probably would switch to that. But I think at this point they would probably annoy like everyone that's like synced like thousands of, well, I don't know, hundreds of dollars into like the previous system, because there's like 3 seasons of it and stuff.
Yeah,
that's it. I think there would be well, I don't know actually. More I'm trying to think of it, I'm like, would it be simple to arrange maybe like a box that they could release to make it work together, not together as such, but so you could cross over some of the things. I don't know. It's very doubtful given all the other little tweaky rules that there is in the first Zombicide and even the new one, because there's just different aspects, and one of them is like mainly melee combat as well. The other ones,
right,
there's a lot of gunfire and searching and things like that in the other one. So It is
Yeah.
kind of different, and sometimes the way the zombies move is quite important compared to, like I said, the 3 seasons and things in the first one. They're different to the mechanics that try and make it a bit more balanced in the Black Plague version. So
I'll tell you this: if I ever do, because I don't have zombie side, and for a long time it hasn't been on my wish list. Black Plague is now, and the one rule that made it where now I want to get it is how they tweaked the ranged combat rule, so that you're not targeting your own people when
Yeah.
you decide to do ranged combat. You know, you might hit them, but you don't have to hit them. And if I were to get any of the versions, I would play with that rule regardless of which version it was, because that just never made any sense to me. It always bothered me, and I couldn't reconcile that in my mind enough to buy the original zombie sides. So, but now
yeah,
that they've offered up a different version of that rule, I think it's something that I want to look at getting now.
yeah, I think that's the if you shoot and miss the monster, you
Right.
hit your
If you miss the
own
monster, you hit your person instead of you have to hit your person first and then
as well as the monster. Yeah, I know what you mean. Speaking of, well, I guess moving on to the things that I've played really. Zombie side, Black Plague. We played a couple of the quests of that. I've been hitting up Dead of Winter again. Just
Cool.
like two player, so no betrayer, but
Okay.
you obviously have to play on the. Is it just like the harder difficulty or the more
hardcore side?
hardcore
Yeah,
difficulty?
the hardcore
Yeah,
side.
yeah. It is difficult, and some of them I'm thinking, is this even possible to do? Like the barricade one, is there physically enough actions? I guess if you keep finding more followers, yeah, you'll have as much dice, you use as
Is that
much
the one where you have
action
to build
as you want.
barricades around the town?
Yeah,
And
we had like 5 followers, like fairly earlier on, and like 6 or 7 followers fairly early on, and it just seemed impossible. We just couldn't do it. Every time we did it, like, oh well, there's too many people in the colony, more zombies. Oh, you didn't feed your guys properly, morale's down. It's like, how can we do this? Is there physically a way to do this? I'm sure there is, but I'm yet to figure it out. What else have I been playing recently? 2 seconds. I'm looking at my shelf just now. Oh yeah, I played
George,
at
when
the,
you
at
were
the
playing that
game.
scenario, real quick before we move to the next game, when you're playing that scenario in Dead of Winter, were you using the attract zombies action very much? Because I've always thought, because I've never beaten that scenario either, but I've always thought that might be the key, is using that action more than you normally would in a scenario to kind of get the zombies to go where you want them to. That way they're not constantly tearing down your barricades.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really used too much of the attract zombie move, to be honest. The main ones that we usually use, I guess, for me, it's like just use the barricade. You try and attack to kill as much. It's good to try and get weapons as well. So go to the police station, get a gun where you can try and take out 2 or 3 zombies in one action, as opposed to just taking out the one. And it's good to try and get the characters as well that can attack. Or there's one character as well that can actually build 2 barricades in place of one as well, I think, and she's really good to try and get. But
Right.
again,
Yeah.
because it's random and you're drawing the cards at random, there is a lot of luck in certain scenarios like that. But like for the likes of just kill 15 zombies or kill 20 zombies, those ones are really fun. And I just really love the theme. I'm really, really looking forward to the Long Night. Is it the Long
Yes.
Night they're calling it?
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty intense, and I mean, I haven't really seen too much about it yet. There was one thing I read, but it's completely slipped my mind now as to what actually is going to be in it. I'm presuming just a lot more storyline, more crossroad cards. They say it's standalone and crossover, so
Mm.
I don't know. Are we just going to have to shuffle the whole crossroads deck together, or does it
Yeah,
really
I'm
depend
intrigued by
on
that
what?
because already like you have situations with the Crossroads deck where you could go for ages throughout the game with nothing activating, right? Because of the way it's just kind of this random nature that certain cards require certain characters to be in the game or not be in the game or whatever. And so
Yeah.
if you introduce another if you double the characters and then kind of double the Crossroads cards, surely you're gonna hit that. The likelihood of kind of hitting the right Crossroads cards with the right characters in the game is going to happen even less often than it already does,
Yeah.
which would seem like a shame because obviously they're one of the cool parts of the game. So yeah, I'm intrigued about that. I hope it doesn't require kind of too much arduous setup because obviously that can just really kind of put you off playing a game. But I guess I'm definitely excited about like new characters. and new Crossroads cards, but I'm also just excited to hear about the new features they brought in. Like there was mention of, I don't know quite how it's going to work mechanically, but there was mention of kind of having wars with like rival factions, and that kind of just made me think of The Walking Dead and like the governor's crew and stuff. And you know, so anything like that kind of changes up the system. You know, new stuff that's the same, like new locations, new equipment cards. That's all cool, but I'm more excited to hear about the things that like a new kind of game features. But yeah, all of it. I've already pre-ordered it. Yeah, I'm all over it.
Did you already mention the Crossroad cards are coming in the box, but in a separate pack in the box that you have to unseal separately because they're so mature that they didn't want kids to actually. Yeah, like if you don't want to mess with these, then leave them sealed up in this package.
Wow.
Because they're actually could be offensive. They're so mature apparently, or so gruesome or whatever.
Yeah.
They're getting shuffled
because in the original one, you know, they had the little thing at the bottom of the card, but these they actually wanted to just keep separate from everything in case you didn't want to mess with them.
I think that's really cool. Like, I mean, I'm, you know, I don't have an opinion either way about them sealing them, but I'm excited that like a company's willing to like treat something with an adult kind of like, you know, treat something mature. You know, they're appealing to adults, so it's kind, you know, like there's so many films released that kids aren't allowed to watch. So why not have kind of board games that are just suited to us that kind of speak to those?
Exactly.
I'd like to see that in more games, but I guess it's not all that relevant to other games. I guess Time Stories in places is pretty dark and kind of heavy going. That would be the only other game that I've kind of witnessed it in. Have you guys played any other games that kind of cover that?
Well, cover the more adult theme.
Yeah.
Not really, I guess. Most of the games that I've played, I mean, there is a few where you think that. I mean, I guess overall, as far as adult theme goes, the Grizzled can be quite dark.
Yeah.
As far as it's just a little deck of cards, like some of those trauma cards that you get, the fact that they're called trauma cards, it's, I guess sometimes you think like you can become panicked, you can become in mute. I don't even think it's got that high of like an age rating for it, but it just seems like if you actually think about it in detail, some of those guys are tearing themselves apart just trying to survive through the war.
Yeah.
But again, I know what you mean. There's no real, I don't want to say offensive, but I have a feeling like when you read the adult themed or the more like gruesome cards as they're called in like the first Dead of Winter, it simply just seems to add a little bit more gore, I guess, but mainly like there's some swear words, you know, like just the way they kind of speak to each other. So I don't really know how they're going to do it. Is it going to be like a more gruesome way, like more description on what happens to a certain character if they're in a certain location, or is it just going to be more like adult talk when it comes to what people are saying to each other? But the very fact that there's going to be more and they've separated them, I'm really intrigued about that as well. I look forward to reading some of those. And if it is like what I think it's going to be, like more gruesome, more adult themed, then I'm really looking forward to shuffling those straight in. However, like we spoke about, if it's going to be, you need to have 12 locations on the go to be able to activate all the Crossroads cards, then the game's going to become huge and will take a bit to set up as well. But look, I mean, I look forward to it. What are your guys' opinion? I know we're like hanging about on Dead of Winter here, probably because the Long Night's coming out too. But what's your guys' opinion on that dog out the first game?
I guess I've always got a what I love about Dead of Winter is that on the whole, you know, it feels realistic. Of course, we're in a ridiculous zombie world, right? But apart from that, it feels very realistic. And so I don't mind the dog up to a point, but it takes me out of it just a tiny amount that he can like fire a gun or, you know, and I think, I'm not sure. I've played with him a couple of times. I think I probably did just use the gun. And I know like some people find it really cute and really funny, and I totally get that. But I just kind of think if I'm playing a game that pretty much 90% of it is just like it makes perfect sense, then I'm not giving a dog a gun because that doesn't make any sense to me. And so, but, you know, that's just me being like picky. Yeah. How about you?
Well, sometimes I feel like they should have called it Lassie, because the way like if you have it on your team, you're like, Rover, go to the school and find me some food. You know, like off he goes, searching the school. Like I don't know. I don't mind it because I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a board game that has heavy theme to it.
Yeah.
The whole like he won't get bit essentially, like unless there's somebody else there, can be kind of frustrating. Hi Baker, you decided to join us again.
Hey guys, I truly, genuinely apologize. I had no idea things were gonna be this crazy this morning. So, anyway,
that's okay. We were just talking about is it Sparky? I don't know what his name is.
Yeah, Sparky.
Yeah, Spark. Is it Sparky? Yeah.
Yeah, Sparky the
How do you feel? How do you feel about him, Baker? Do you feel he brings down the theme or takes away any sort of?
I don't know. I don't think the game is necessary. I have no problem with the occasional like step out of realism. I mean, it's already a game about corpses walking around eating people.
Yeah.
So, and I guess I haven't ever gotten Sparky's crossroad card, but supposedly that explains how he has all these amazing abilities.
Okay.
But I don't know. It doesn't bother me a whole lot because at the same time the game also lets you have as many weapons as you want. And so basically you're dual wielding sniper rifles and pistols and stuff like that. So I admit that when I first heard about Sparky, I was like, I don't know about that. But then the more I looked at the game and kind of got the feel of the game, the less it bothered me. I mean, because go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I think I just fear that in the next box they're going to be like, check out this promo card, Gandalf's Moth, you know, where you can send him off to do random quests for you and kill some zombies for you by fluttering past them. I don't know. It opens the world up to a lot of random, I guess, as far as the game goes.
There is. Have you seen? There's going to be a monkey in the expansion.
Is there?
Yeah, I think it's on the box art or it's in some of the promo artwork. So, I think most people absolutely loved Sparky, and it was like a big kind of talking point. So I think they've just kind of gone for the same vibe and put a monkey in there. But I would guess a monkey can hold a gun a bit better than a dog can. So I'll go along with that a bit better. But yeah, I mean. It's not something that really bothered me that much, but I can be kind of picky when it comes to themes sometimes. I think there are way worse offenders of kind of games that take you out of that world. And like you say, I don't mind it occasionally. I guess it's like a film that kind of breaks the fourth wall and kind of looks at you and talks to you or whatever. But like all those games that use photo, like you know how there's a lot of games out there from kind of smaller Kickstarter companies where all the characters in the game look like the designers and like all the designers' friends and stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of bugs me.
That happens in Kickstarter a lot.
Yeah, that bugs me because it's like I'm looking at this thing and I'm not imagining the character it's supposed to be. I'm not creating this world and like and enjoying the theme. I'm just remembering that it's the designer who isn't a pirate or isn't a what he isn't in a zombie apocalypse. He's just a real boring guy that
Or then you look through it and you think, is this the designer or is this one of the guys that backed $400 to
Right. That's just a little bugbear of mine, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all got little bugbears like that, to be honest, as far as board games go. Another game I've been playing, we've taken a while to go through all the games we've been playing, but I've been having an awesome chat today. I've really enjoyed it so far. However, Colt Express. Any of you guys played this game?
Oh,
yes,
well,
yeah.
It's so bad. I have not played it yet.
It is surprisingly awesome. It's so quick, it doesn't take long, and I love shooting people in the face with my cowboy. And the whole punch you, give me your treasure. It's just a real fun short take, that game. And the train, I really enjoyed putting it together. I felt really sad at the time, but when I was putting it together, I was having such a good time. I felt like we were playing a solo game. I really did.
How long would you say a game takes on average?
Half an hour. Depends on the players, really. Even then, because if you're playing with fast people, 40 minutes maybe. If you're playing the full 6-player, I believe it goes up to. But if you're only playing 3 or 4 games,
I got the. Have you seen the DeLorean? It's like it's like the Colt Express promo. It's on. Well, I don't know if it's still in stock, but it was on the Board Game Geek store. and it's just another little bit of cardboard thing that and I don't I've forgotten the rules. I think it's something like it's placed by the train, and then for a turn you can go in it, and then you can kind of like time travel to another part of the train or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I haven't played with it yet, but I kind of had to jump on it because I kind of figured it would sell out, and I just thought
it should be placed directly in front of the train.
Oh, actually, I think it is. Yeah.
Is it? Okay, yeah. I was gonna say because that's what
I don't even know my Back to the Future well enough. Yeah.
Okay, you guys chat away yourselves for a minute. I'm checking the Board Game Geek store to order a DeLorean.
Yeah. So and then there's the expansion I haven't tried, which introduces like a stagecoach which like runs alongside, and you can like jump between that. And there's like another expansion on the way. So yeah, it's a cool game. I've only played it like a couple of times. But yeah, it does play really fast, and there is a lot of just kind of like it's chaos and a lot of getting like mad at other people, but also getting mad at yourself for like because it's a programming game and you should have thought ahead and realized that person was gonna punch you or whatever, and now you're in the wrong carriage, and yeah, it's just.
I find that to be a lot more challenging than it probably should be. In programming games, because Lords of Zidit is the one that we've been playing a lot lately as far as programming goes. And have you played that one before?
I haven't, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got this big map, and there's only a few actions. You can either move, you can interact, or you can rest. That's it. But in doing that, you find yourself a lot of times, you go and you try to interact with a city, but somebody else already has, so there's nothing to do anymore there. And it's of course that person was going to do that. How can I not see that coming?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's definitely something in programming games I think, and like in Colt Express, I imagine, you try to punch somebody who's no longer there because whatever, and just the idea of you just completely whiffing in the air, and swinging at nothing or shooting at nothing or whatever.
Yeah.
Love you. Have a good day.
So yeah, it's I think it's kind of the kind of game you can't really you can't get too hung up about like trying to think it through, or you can't get too sad if you lose. There's just no way that you can control everything and win the game, but you can win by accident, or at least by doing having a pretty good go at it, kind of thing. So
what's the most players you played Colt Express with?
Yeah, I played it with 6, like the full, and
that's got to be just chaotic. I mean, I'm sure it's tons of fun, but just.
But it does get bigger, so the train gets bigger with the more players. So you can be a bit more spread out. So you can kind of be on your own a little bit sometimes, and not getting into fights. But it encourages you to shoot people because the person who shoots the most people in the game gets like $1,000 at the end, which like is like huge amounts of points. So yeah. But yeah, it's pretty chaotic. 6 player. I played it with 4. I think I probably a bit prefer it with 4 because there are at least moments there where you can kind of predict things and you can be like, oh, okay, he's going to do that, and then you can feel a bit clever when it all pays off. Whereas in 6, there's always going to be something you didn't account for. But yeah,
unless you're Jason Levine, and then you probably could figure it out.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just looked for the DeLorean, and I think it's either out of stock or disappeared. So.
Oh no! Oh well, I'll have to lend it to you.
First of all, you need to play it yourself and find out how it plays.
I do, yeah, I do.
Speaking of which, Baker, you're probably not going to make it. John, I just want to quickly ask you: Are you going to make it? Are you making it to the UK Games Expo this year?
Yes, yeah, I am, or at least I'm planning to. I haven't actually bought my ticket yet, but that's mostly a lack of planning. I actually very kindly got invited to talk on a Paul Grogan Gaming Rules that I did the Scythe playthrough with, or he invited me onto like this panel thing where we're just going to talk about YouTube and stuff, so that's really cool. So that's happening Friday morning, I think, so I kind of think no one's going to be there at that point, but yeah, I'm still really excited to go and just play a bunch of games. So yeah, I guess I'll see you there. We could play Colt Express or something.
Yeah, definitely. Well, now that I know that there's going to be a panel as well, I'm going to maybe try and get along and watch you, but I think there's so much happening on Friday by the looks of the schedule, and then Saturday seems more like a competition day. So yeah, but I'm really stoked for it. It should be fun. I think we're gonna be there on the Friday morning. I was speaking to Paul as well, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of demos of CGE stuff that's not out yet. So
Okay.
hoping to see some of that as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything's looking.
he was just mentioned he sort of teased something on Twitter, which was like that he just started making a video for the best game of 2016, but he wouldn't say what that was, so it's obviously not been announced yet. So that's kind of exciting. I don't know what that could possibly be, but I'm assuming it's from CGE. So
yeah. Baker, you really need to get across to the UK and get involved in this expo.
Yeah, I know, right? I hear a lot about it all the time.
But we always keep forgetting that Baker and his Dice Tower homies going to the Dice Tower Con and all such, right?
Yeah,
So,
well, unfortunately, I just had to sell my tickets back because I'm not gonna be able to make it at Dice Tower Con. Something's come up.
Oh no!
It was pretty upsetting, but I'll try again next year. And at least I was able to give something back to the waiting list because I know that waiting list is huge. So
yeah,
2 adults and 1 child just became very happy.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So, are you making it to any other US cons or?
None of the big ones. I'm going to start looking around. I know South Carolina, where I live, has, and Georgia is right next door. They have a lot of little ones. I'm going to look and see if I can maybe make it to one of those. It's maybe an hour or 2 away that I could just drive to for the day and then come back type thing. Because Dice Tower Con is a good 5-hour drive, and plus it's But as of right now, no plans. But I'm going to start researching that to see what else is around here.
Yeah. John, do you got any smaller ones? Like, is there any smaller ones near you at all? I know there's like one in Edinburgh near me, but it's almost unheard of or unspoken about. And I heard about Strategy Con, but everything seems to kind of be falling off the radar about that too.
Yeah, there was an announcement of I remember Tom Vassell mentioned on his news that there was going to be a new convention in the UK this year, but I didn't really hear any more about it. I don't even know where in the country it is.
Yeah, that's the Strategy Con one.
Oh, it is, right. So where's that going to be?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Right.
The only page I've ever found about it was sign up if you're interested, basically, which I was kind of confused about it. But
well, I'd be interested if it was near me, but not so much if it's like Wales or somewhere. Yeah, but So I think there's Dragon Meet in London, which I've never been to. I guess they all just kind of cover a multitude of things. But I go to a lot of there's like a big meetup group called London On Board, and I go to that like pretty much every week. So that kind of feels like sometimes like you're kind of in the gaming hall of a convention because it's nowhere near as big, obviously, and they tend to have like a little spot at UK Games Expo and other conventions. So I just kind of do that a lot, and they also do they go away to Eastbourne, which is like on the south coast, and they like hire a hotel and do that, and that's actually coming up in a couple of weeks. I haven't quite worked up the courage to do that yet, like the kind of full weekend in a random dodgy hotel, just like playing games non-stop. Because it's not like an official it is called a convention, right, but it's not like one of these big like plush kind of convention centers. So no, I'm going to start with the UK Games Expo and then work from there. But if there was more in London that were specifically just like board game focused, then maybe I'd be a bit. I'm not. Train travel's just so expensive in the UK that I can be a bit lazy at times with that. Yeah. I don't have a car, so. Did you go to UK Games Expo last year?
No. So this year will be my first year at the expo. But again, because train travel is so expensive, me and a couple of guys from our game group, currently I think it's only me and one of the guys from the game group, Breck, that's going down. So I think we're going to post something on BGG and see, because we live like right northeast of Scotland. So if anyone wants picked up on the way down for a contribution to fuel costs, then basically I think we're going to post that, and we're just going to drive it all the way down. So it should take us like 6 hours to drive there, maybe 8, depending on traffic and what happens. So, but it's just we're going to try and get a hotel nearby as well, because it seems like being attached to the Hilton is probably not the cheapest place to put a convention. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Look forward to meeting you in person, John, as well. It'll be a couple of games in and see what else we
have sort of fairly similar tastes. Like I don't know, I'm just looking at your shelf in the background. You've kind of got a bit of a mix. You get sort of quite a few thematic games. You don't have too many like heavy Euros. I'm guessing I'm not into heavy Euros, but I was just sort of asking like unless I'm missing anything that I can't see at the moment.
No, I've played some. I've played a few heavy Euros, but the length of them and me just generally, it seems to be the way that I like to play games as well. Is quite fast. So like with the
Right.
you know, like when it comes to my turn, I always feel like I'm like that's my turn over.
Yeah.
And when I'm playing those heavy Euro games, I don't feel like I make the best choices. When
Yeah,
I'm playing like that.
It's the same for me. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't have the brain for it, and so I kind of and like the kind of people that play it, like I just kind of feel like they're looking down on me intellectually.
I don't believe that because we're all playing board games at the end of the day, right? But
yeah, that's true.
I do know what you mean.
They're all scientists and mathematicians and stuff, you know.
Maybe the 18XX guys, but
Right, yeah. How about
probably.
you, Baker? Do you ever kind of get onto that heavier stuff?
I do not have any heavy Euros, though. I've wanted to try them out just because to see if I like them, and we've definitely discovered that my wife is definitely more of a Euro gamer because we've started. She likes Seven Wonders Duel a lot. She loves Splendor. I'm looking around because I got all my games around here.
Yeah.
But and Abyss, like I said, is something that she's really gotten into now. So I'm gonna look at something and try to bring in a heavier one and see what she thinks about that. She also likes them to be shorter games too, though. She likes about 45 minutes is the right spot for her.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
You know, but
It's
I'm
kinda hard to
definitely.
find the heavier Euros are around 45 minutes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more of a now Imperial Assault. I was really hot on for a while, but the more I've played it, I've cooled on it a little bit, and it could just be because I went through 6 games of a campaign and just got pummeled by the Imperial player repeatedly, and so we actually conceded that campaign. Mage Knight is really kind of the type of game I've found that I can just play and play and play and not get tired of it so far. I've only had that for 2 or 3 months, and I've gotten about 12 plays in so far.
Wow.
Most of them were solo plays, but still, it was, you know. But yeah, Mage Knight, Small World. Now, Mansions of Madness is my all-time favorite, but it was also my first really heavy game that I ever got. So, you know, that's kind of where my comfort zone is. Pandemic Legacy is one of my favorite games for sure. So, you know, that type of stuff.
I should actually be going through a legacy campaign soon as well. I think we've eventually found a constant group of 4 people that are going to be game for it. So Pandemic Legacy should be happening for me pretty soon.
Nice.
It's going to be from the guys with the game group, but it's out with the board game club because we don't want to like sit at the board game club that we have and just play Pandemic Legacy for 8 hours and not like, get involved with anyone else.
Or do.
Yeah. Well, I might do, but I'm not going to because we want to still like speak to everyone else that's there and
and
we like we played Cosmic Encounter, like a big game of Cosmic, like the very first board games club that was on, and I really like to get another one of those on the go. It was so much fun. It's just the whole like take that aspect of it, playing the I Am the King games with some of those guys as well as classic because they literally hold grudges. Like, well, you screwed me over in the first round, so now that you're about to win, tough. It's really fun. We just had some great games and things like that. So,
speaking of legacy games, though, are y'all fans of Jamie Stegmaier's games at all?
Yeah.
Euphoria, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was listening to the Brawling Brothers podcast, and he was being interviewed on there, and he talked about, and he didn't say any specifics whatsoever, but he said within about a year he's going to be releasing a legacy game. Which I thought was pretty interesting because they kind of said that the Tuscany expansion for Viticulture had legacy aspects, and it wasn't. It was just a modular expansion. But he's saying this is a legitimate legacy game that he's designing, but that was pretty much all he said. But when I heard that, I was like, oh man, that's exciting right there because I'm already foaming at the mouth to get Scythe, you know, and then Viticulture is another. That's one that I like a lot. So. Legacy from him would be pretty awesome.
I wonder if he's going to just take one of his existing games like Euphoria or Viticulture and make it legacy, or whether he's starting with something completely new. I kind of like. because yeah, I think something new would be, I guess, a bit more exciting. But then but then maybe it's a bit more bankable to do, like, because obviously so many people love viticulture. So if you just turn it into a legacy game, there's going to be loads of people just immediately buying it. But I think the kind of exciting thing about Seafall, Rob Davio's like upcoming legacy one, is that it's like purpose built for legacy rather than his previous two existing
retrofitting that
games.
previous game. Yeah.
Yeah. So oh man, it's just like all the legacy games just coming out. It's just so exciting. And like I think I remember I was listening to the Dice Tower podcast, and they were saying that they'd asked Eric Lang about whether he was going to do a legacy game, and he sort of said no comment, which just kind of sounds like he probably is. Yeah.
Dude, that guy's got like 8 games he's designing all at once. He went through a day on Twitter where he just started. He's got code names for all the games he's designing, and he just started listing off all these different names for games, but talking about his thoughts on where he's at designing them. And there was 6 or 7 different games, and I can't imagine having that much stuff being designed in my brain at one time.
Yeah.
I think. But I mean, very few of his games come out, and people say, "Nah, I'm not too sure about that one," or "No, I don't really like that one." Like,
that's true.
Dice is super popular. I think like the only game that I've played of his that I wasn't too keen on was Trains and Stations, which I believe I still own. But I wasn't too fond of that one. It just seemed like there was a lot missing from it. I think my wife enjoyed it, and one of my friends enjoyed it. I think that's why I keep it, because it's still a fun. There's different mechanics to it than what you usually play with a standard game.
You know what it's missing? It's missing Norse monsters. That's what it's missing.
Oh, okay.
He should have just taken from Blood Rage, put them in Trains and Stations, and then you'd be good. Which I got my first play of Blood Rage in last week, 2 weeks ago. When that game is, I got stomped because the guy I was playing against had played it before, and it was me with like 80 points, another guy with like 88 points, and then this guy with 150 points. But regardless, that game was pretty awesome too. Yeah, Eric Lang just pumps out crazy good stuff.
And I really enjoy Dice Masters too. So although the Teenage Mutant Ninja Dice, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Dice Masters is coming out, doesn't have booster packs. I don't know how I feel about that. It's going to be like one solid box game, right? So here's your box of Dice Masters kit. You don't need to buy anything else after that.
I think tons of stuff from the Ninja Turtles universe they could create booster packs for.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like since I got out of Pokemon when I was like a kid, that I've never really had the urge to get booster packs again until Dice Masters came out. And when Dice Masters came out, I was like all over it with Justice League, particularly the Justice League, because I'm a huge DC fan. So hopefully going to see Superman and Batman versus Superman tonight, but we'll see how we get on. It's Eric Lang, man. He's got the others coming out. He's got Arcadia Inferno, the second half of the Arcadia thing coming out. He's got the Bloodborne PlayStation. Well, it's not a PlayStation game, but the PlayStation IP for Bloodborne. He's got a card game coming out of. There's so much things that he has planned.
And there's Godfather. He's doing a Godfather game, and also the Munchkin CCG.
Oh, he's doing a Godfather game?
Yeah. With Cool Mini or Not.
Nice.
Although I'm not sure it will actually have any minis in it, but
I mean, Xenoshift didn't either with Cool Mini or Not, and that game is awesome. So.
Yeah.
I've still yet to play Xenoshift. I really want to get that played at some point.
I've only played the app version of it, but I've got a promo from Watch It Played, so I need to get the actual physical copy so I can use that promo.
That's the wrong way around.
I think it probably is, but that's where I find myself.
I bet there are a lot of people that bought the DeLorean for Colt Express before actually owning Colt Express, but it's a good as reason as any.
Those people are dead to me.
Yeah, I see it. I probably need to play it now. I need to use it, or otherwise, I'll be dead to you as well if I just leave it sitting on a shelf.
I have faith in you, John, that you will get that to the table.
Yeah, it's not too hard.
It's so simple to get out there. But there's this phone as well that I received in the mail the other day, and I've heard awesome things about it. Odin's Ravens,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
2-player. So I'm hopefully going to convince my wife to play this tonight, and I'm hopefully get a review out of it soon. But it looks awesome. I mean, like the box inlay, the way everything sits, it's like a book as opposed to
Yeah.
actual
Yeah, I
box.
played. I had one of their other games. They seem to like doing that kind of that folding box thing. Uh,
Yeah,
it was called The King is Dead. But yeah, I've never played Odin's Ravens. It's kind of on my list of like. There's so many like really kind of popular 2-player card games, and I'm working my way through the list. I just picked up. I just bought a second-hand copy of someone of Asante, which is a game that Z Garcia talks about. It's like Jambo, and it's like another one on my list of like 2-player games. Odin's Ravens definitely on there, so you have to let me know what that's like.
yeah, man, I'll let you know. I'm hoping that it's going to be fun. And the little raven wooden meeple, I don't guess they're not
Yeah.
really meeples, but the wooden tokens are pretty high quality, a lot. And you know something, I don't know how you guys with your schools or high schools or anything, but I literally opened up the box and I could smell. It smelled like a techie class or something in high school for me. Like I could smell the carved wood and the varnish of them, and I was just
Right,
like, I really want to play this. Like straight away, I was interested in it. And then
right.
they sent me this one too, but I've not heard so much about this one. But from the things that I have heard, it sounds awesome, and that is the Ravens of Thry Saharshri, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I heard about that on the Dice Tower podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, there. It seems to be that you're like a psychic friend of someone, and you're basically trying to guide. Like, it's a cooperative card game, but one player seems to be completely silent, and the other player can talk and can, mutter
Oh, that's
away. But
cool.
the silent player is the one trying to guide her through her psyche or something like that. The theme seems really interesting.
So you're
I wonder if you just
actually, so the people playing the game, one person can't talk. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so basically it sounds like one player controls a deck of memories while the other player can only communicate through the placement of cards.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, it makes me think of like Mysterium or Deception Murder in Hong Kong, where like one player's trying to communicate. I like kind of games that just mess with that format a bit, like
Yeah,
Hanabi, where you can't, you have there's only certain things you can say, uh,
yeah,
and the Grizzled as well. Like it's just I just think it like adds an extra element to like just what is effectively just like a simple card game, but just makes it a bit more kind of unique. So yeah, I have to look that one up. Who publishes that? I hadn't really seen it.
that's Offspring Games as well.
Oh, it's the
So
same, right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
the anime artwork is something that I'm not usually totally fond of, but the cards and everything inside, they look pretty sweet, and it comes in a nice little like a sleeve that it comes in, and then a nice little canvas card holder. So another
Okay.
interesting packaging from Osprey Games, to be
Yeah,
honest. So,
yeah.
those are a couple of games that I'm really looking forward to playing. I guess quickly, do you want to just go through games that we've purchased, or the games that we're going to get to play soon, or looking forward to play soon?
Yeah. I actually just filmed a vlog which I haven't edited yet of like the games that later this year that I'm looking forward to. So I could just quickly mention ones that are coming soon. So I did like a sort of top. I mean, everyone did it at the start of the year. I've taken like three months to get to doing like my anticipated games of the year, and
Okay.
and some of them aren't coming out for a while. But one that is, I think, coming sort of not. It's not too far away. That was on Kickstarter. Is The Pursuit of Happiness, which is it's a Euro game, but it's kind of light to medium. It's not that complicated, and it's like the game of life, but a much more interesting game where it's kind of like a worker placement game, but it's called like time placement. So every player has a certain amount of time in life to spend on things, and then you can choose to spend that on maybe getting a job or like doing hobbies or starting relationships or having kids or there's some other stuff, and you're all just kind of obviously the end goal is just to try and get like happiness points. Those are like the victory points. It's just really thematic. It's just like every decision you make kind of just makes sense within like decisions about life, right? And if you take on a job that makes you loads of money, it takes up loads of time. So then in future turns, you still have that job. So then you have less time to do hobbies or maybe to have a relationship or whatever. I just really liked it. I got to play someone's copy because it was out at Essen, but only in like a few hundred games. And then they
Yeah.
kickstarted it. And I think it's due maybe in June or something like that. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting my copy of that. And then other games that I got recently that I haven't had a chance to play yet. Oh, I got the expansion to Legacy Testament of Duke de Cracy, which is a Portal Games game about like building a family tree. That's just a really kind of cool game that I like, but I don't get to play all that often. It takes up loads of table space, but I just kind of had to. Sorry?
What does the expansion add to that one?
I think it adds some kind of a bit more interaction between players, because I think maybe one criticism of it is that it's a bit solitarish, like
Right.
you're just building your own family tree. But I think there's these families within the game that you can kind of bring into your family, I guess by marrying them and things, and then that will maybe impact other people. But I could be making that up. I haven't read the rules properly yet. But I know that the kind of one thing that they promised, right, was just more interaction between players. So I don't know quite how that works, but yeah. But so that's, I guess, like the one thing that maybe people would have wanted them to fix. So that, yeah, the artwork in that game's really cool. I just really like the theme. It's just kind of fun, like having like ugly children and like marrying them off to some like guy just because he's rich and or whatever else. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, man, that sounds cool. I guess games for me that I've been looking forward to playing is mostly ones that I've kind of been. It's mostly ones that aren't out yet, so it'll be like Gen Con releases, or well, I presume Gen Con releases. So like you've got like the Long Night with Dead of Winter.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the Pandemic as well. Now that I've heard a little bit more about it and we've seen a lot more pictures, and like I thought as well, like a lot of people thought same as Pandemic, but you're going to be chasing Cthulhu. But I saw minis for it, like Pandemic game with actual minis as opposed to fun. Now I'm interested already in the very fact that there's going to be a Cthulhu mini in it. Like, I'm sold. Let's give it a try. So really looking forward to that. Other than that, I'm finding it not difficult to get excited about a lot of things, but I feel there's a lot less this year to be excited about than there has been in previous years for Gen Con. However, most of the stuff will probably be coming out most of the big news about it, because all we've seen is like the little short previews about it, right? And I feel most of the big news about the games will come out in like a month, maybe a month and a half before Gen Con's, is around again, and then we'll see, a lot more of the bigger games that are coming out, etc. The Descent app, there's another thing that really excites me. Turning a game that is currently 1 versus all to, have we got 2 bakers?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I just don't even know what's going on anymore, guys. I don't.
Okay, let's have a look.
Yeah, the cooperative Descent app.
Yeah,
that sounds cool.
So it turns that a 1 versus all game into a full cooperative game, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's going to be like you only have a couple of tiles on the board, and there's pathways to go which are kind of supposed to be in darkness, and when you get to those sides, you then lay the tiles, or if you do a certain thing in the tiles that you need to get to, you can then lay the tiles and put down monsters according to what the app dictates, instead of having like big map layouts to start with. It's
wow,
very
that's
much
a really cool idea. Yeah.
Dungeon crawl. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. For just an app and just owning like the base game, a few expansions. I heard you can just like decide what expansions you've got, what tiles it puts in, and it creates these little campaigns and things for you. So,
sorry, I obviously missed the beginning of that. Is that an app that's already out, or that's one you're looking forward to coming out?
It's coming out. It's the Descent app. So
nice.
Yeah, it's good.
I might have to get Descent because of that. I wasn't gonna get it since I have Imperial Assault, since they're so similar.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's no confirmation or anything, but I think that if it goes well with that app, then they'll probably, you kind of think they'll do the same for Imperial Assault.
I mean, you'd think so, but they still haven't done any sort of, because they have don't they have a co-op expansion for Descent already?
I'm not sure.
Where it automates the dungeon, the Overlord or whatever it's called. But they haven't, no talk about that for Imperial Assault yet.
I think with Imperial Assault, because it seems to be a lot of them are concentrating on, a lot of Fantasy Flight seems to be concentrating on the skirmish side of things with the Assault. So every little expansion has some more skirmish maps and little stories and things like that. Whereas big expansions are fewer and far between compared to like when Descent came out. Like Descent came out and just popped out expansions like after expansion, and yeah, you got like little characters, little lieutenants, and boxes like you do with the ally packs for Imperial Assault, but they didn't add as much as what the bigger expansions or like the little expansions add for Imperial Assault to the skirmish side. However, the big expansions for Descent give you like another fat campaign book. Like it seems to be every expansion they bring out as well, the maps just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the games take longer and longer. So I think it's going to do really well getting it back to where they started with the smaller maps, the quicker gameplay of it, and this whole like co-op, like 1-2 co-op thing with the app dictating what you're going to do. I'm really excited for it. So that's pretty much all I'm really excited about just now.
Could I ask about Descent? I've never actually played Descent or Imperial Assault, and I'm kind of not sure whether I'd like it. And I just wondered if I like Zombicide, Black Plague, like, is there kind of similarities there, or is it a lot more complex playing Descent or Imperial Assault?
A lot more complex for both of them, I would say. Just because the movement action, and then the fewer things that you can take. However, the powers that you get with certain cards and the characters that you have certain powers as well. In Descent, for example, I speak more of Descent because I've played a lot more Descent than I have Imperial Assault. But by the time you get to the end of a campaign in Descent, you literally have one character with all its items and all its special abilities and everything that you've gained throughout the entire campaign surrounding them. And instead of just getting I get 3 or 4 6-sided dice, you get dice where you get hit points, and then you get surges, and the surges can create special abilities depending on what weapon you're using to attack with. And then there's obviously the defense dice as well, which one thing that always bugged me about Black Plague is the fact that you don't get a defense unless you find armor.
Yeah.
That bugs me a little bit, and I always like the opportunity to be able to defend something. So there is a lot more to it. The Black Plague, for example, because I know that's the one you've got. The campaign it's not really a campaign as such, as it's just different quests that you go on, and you start. Yeah. You start a different one every time, and to make a campaign out of it's almost impossible, just because you would be starting the game completely ramped up. So say like you did like 3 quests in a row, the next game that you play you're probably going to lose because you're starting on like a massive XP amount, which just means all the cards come out are just going to destroy you with zombies. But with Descent Imperial Assault, the Overlord gets a good amount of cards to use, a good amount of characters to play with who have their own special abilities as well. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's downsides to Descent as well. So if you win one of the first matches, chances are you've got the upper hand in the next one, and it will be very hard for the opposing player to try and claw it back, because missions or quests kind of come in like 2 maps pretty much every quest or mission. So the game can ramp up that way against you, but it only happens for that like 2 maps, then you start again, and then you see who wins. And the storyline is really thick as well. There's a lot of theme to it. The weapons are nice. To go into the shop part and traveling in between quests is, there's like a deck for traveling, a shop deck where you draw certain cards from, everyone gets to look at this time, and then it gets shuffled back again. So there is a lot to it, but it is very fun. The one thing that you said earlier, John, that makes me think you might not enjoy it too much is the setup. It can take a while to set up. Once you get it to the board, some people are almost knackered because you've just thought, I've just spent an hour and a half trying to set the game up and get all the cards ready and get the map out and find the right tiles.
Especially if you don't have a good organization system.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the same for Descent and Imperial Assault.
Imperial, I've never played Descent, but Imperial Assault for sure. There's so many modular tiles, and they look very similar, but they have little numbers on them to differentiate them.
Yeah.
And so you have to go through and figure out, piece them all together. And and the other thing I'd say is you need, as far as the Overlord goes, or the Imperial player in Imperial Assault, if they're going to play strictly like they want to win and they're going to destroy you, and if they get a couple of wins in a row, then if they're a really good player, it's a snowball effect. Whereas if you have somebody who's going to play more as like a D&D game master, where their idea is to make sure everybody has fun,
Yeah.
and you might have better luck with it, because that's kind of what happened with us. Is our guy just, oh my, he got 2 or 3 wins before we really figured out what we were doing, and then at that point he just steamrolled us.
Yeah, that kind of bugs me because I think I would find it very hard. I wouldn't massively want to play the Overlord, and I think if I was to get someone to do it, you can't really just sort of introduce a game to someone and go, oh, by the way, can you go easy? Can you try not
Right.
to win? You know, I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
some people would do that willingly, and that's really cool, but a lot of my friends wouldn't. They're really competitive, right? And they just really want to win. So the setup, like obviously, you know, nobody likes a long setup. I can kind of live with that with the occasional, like, I play the occasional like really long game, and I don't mind it because it's kind of like, okay, you put in an hour's setup, you get 6 hours of game or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm not really sure, but that possibly scares me off is just like a real complex rules where you're just, rather than just kind of having fun playing the game, you're constantly like checking the rule book. And the only experience I have that might be vaguely similar is level 7 a Mega Protocol, which
Okay.
which is obviously a dungeon crawl, where one person's the overlord. And I just found that game, there was just so many complicated bits that we just never really got to focus on actually having fun. We were just too busy kind of like checking all the different cards
Checking and
and what they
rechecking the
meant.
rules.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if I'd get that with this or not so much.
Yeah, I would say probably. I haven't played a Mega Protocol, but the first several times that anybody that I've played or played with new people or anything like that, there has been a lot of flipping through the rules, because they have there's a learn to play guide, and then a campaign guide, and then a skirmish guide, and then a rules reference guide.
Yeah.
And while the rules reference guide is alphabetical, so it makes it very easy, there's still, there's a lot of flipping through to find, well, how does this unit move in this particular situation, because of there's some impassable terrain and some difficult or whatever, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I think you probably, if you were having that issue with Omega Protocol, you'd probably have that same issue with Imperial Assault, and I would assume Descent. I don't know though.
The only thing I would say about Descent is a lot of the cards do speak for themselves in regards to what your powers do. So there's not too much there's not too much like contradicting powers or anything like that, where you would think what one takes priority over the other. Because most of them seem to be like, this one will cause an extra hit point, or this one will give you an extra dice to roll. While the Overlord's powers will simply be like, after they've rolled, this one will make them re-roll, or this one will take away the hit points that they've given, or you can reverse the hit points back onto players and things. So it's very much to do with the hack and slash side of it. The Imperial Assault, there is a lot of back and forth with the rules just due to the actions and line of sight and whether you're using melee or ranged, as well. So, but I mean, it would certainly be one try before purchase. Try before you buy it in this instance, I would say.
Yeah.
And particularly if, like you said, I know the feeling well, if you've got a lot of friends that are just very competitive, it can be quite disheartening if one player starts to snowball the game, and then it can really put people off continuing to play the next 3 missions, just getting trounced one time after another.
One thing to keep in mind is that 2-player skirmish mode, though, because then it doesn't matter how competitive y'all are, because every game's a new game.
Okay. Yeah.
So, there's no campaign for that. Y'all just pick an army or pick a squad and then go at it. So there's that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But we played. What was I about to say there? We played two full campaigns of Descent, and I don't think we went through an entire campaign without a big rules query that was put onto BGG to try and clear up.
I know that.
So, and when you're playing such a long game, that's you're committing like 12 hours to maybe in the full campaign, maybe even longer, including setup, etc. So you kind of feel like you do want to get the rules right, in particular if you're playing with really competitive people. They do want to get the rules right and not be screwed over in any way, whether it be for them or for the other player. So there can be a lot of rules checking for that. So I'll tell you one thing I was just thinking about, actually, a bit backtracked from topics that we were speaking about before, but you were speaking about heavy Euro games, and then we spoke about Jamie Stegmaier and his Euro games. So Viticulture is one that I played with some of the Tuscany expansion, not all of it, just some of it. And I know that's not like super heavy as far as some of the heaviest go, not even slightly. Even then, I felt like that game is heavy enough for my brain. Like that was enough where I felt like I knew what was going on, but I feel like it would take me a couple of plays to figure out how to win it properly.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
no,
do you feel
that
about
seems
that,
like
Neil?
my level. I haven't actually had a chance to play Viticulture, but I think that's probably like would be a good level for me. I wouldn't really want to go above that too often because I don't, as far as I'm concerned, like my enjoyment for games is like the kind of the story and the social element and just kind of the little challenge in my brain. But if I'm just like, if it just feels like I'm at school or something and like, or I'm in an exam and I'm playing it for 5 hours and I don't know, yeah, just that isn't, that's where I fade out a bit of my interest fades. But yeah, I think Viticulture is probably about the right level. I've got like Brew Crafters, which is sort of relatively heavy, but anything I think that also has a theme that pulls me in, I tend to I give it a bit more of a break because if you're brewing craft beer and stuff and it kind of engages you a bit more and you can have a bit more kind of chat with your friends and stuff rather
Yeah.
than if you're doing some really boring or some like very abstract thing that there isn't really any kind of story behind, then so I think Viticulture is definitely a game that I would like. I just haven't got around to playing it yet.
I would say as far as playing like Euro games, etc., it's probably about as heavy as I would want to go. I mean, at the moment, I'm not saying like in the future that I might say, I might find like a new passion for like even heavier, super heavy Euro games. But right
Yeah.
now, I'm quite happy with that. A couple other ones that I've seen that look interesting, like saw the guys play live with Carson's Day, that looked pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like the simple ones as well, like Stone Age, Lords of Waterdeep, like just the simple worker placement Euro games as well. Like I can engage with those really simply, and I don't feel like they go on forever. Sometimes I feel like the worker placement games that push 3 hours are maybe a bit too much for me. I'm not sure.
It makes me feel like a bit of a fraud because we're obviously European, right? But at times my tastes tend to lie a bit more in the like Amerithrash or game. At least I think a lot of the games I like are made in America or designed in America, and
Yeah.
I don't tend to play quite so many European design games. But I mean, there's a mix. But yeah, and it's funny. I think there are also a lot of. I don't know if it's like kind of like a cool thing, like it's like liking something from abroad is exciting, right? So I think there's a lot of Americans out there that are like really into Euro games because, not because of that, but it's just kind of like a cool like thing, right? To be into. It's like being into a beer from Japan or something, right?
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, you're interested because you're like, well, this one comes from Japan and it's got all this, it's made in this really eccentric way.
Yeah,
But
exactly, yeah.
yeah,
There's definitely a feeling that European games are more high class and more refined,
Right.
which comes from the fact that it's not usually about zombies eating someone's face off. So I mean, I can see the point.
The only thing I would say with the likes of Euro games and worker placement games is they do seem to be able to take. There's a lot more things that you can use in Steam for the actual game. I think with the old Ameritrash hack and slash thing, it can run out pretty fast. As to what the actual storyline or theme is going to be. However, I mean, to be fair, they do seem to keep pumping stuff out that I'm always interested in. So yeah,
Well,
I
like
guess
in a Euro game, you could be a farmer in Italy, or a farmer in Germany, or a farmer or a trader in the Mediterranean. Like there's or a farmer who trades in the Mediterranean even. But,
yeah, I know what you mean. However, if in a Metatrash game you can be a soldier with a gun, or a
right,
soldier with a grenade.
exactly.
But no, it's Euro games are something that I am interested in, that like the same way as viticulture, etc. But some of them they do go a bit too heavy for me. So I think, I don't know, I'm just looking at the time. I'm thinking we've been chatting for like an hour plus now. I don't even, well, okay, I've lost complete track of time. It's like
Yeah, we're like Yeah.
So I think we'll probably cut it off now. I've really enjoyed our chat, and
Yeah, me too.
go and try and film maybe a review or two before Bat versus Soup later. I'm trying not to read any negative reviews about it, even though I've already seen a load of negative reviews about it. So we'll see where that goes. Baker, do you want to give your usual plug and or shameless plugging, as it were?
No, just everybody find me on Twitter @BoardOffline. Go check out my channel. I do want to say, because I didn't get to say it at the beginning, John, honestly, a huge fan of your channel and
Thanks,
what you're
man.
doing over there. You're actually the one. You and what's the Inside the Box are the two channels that my wife will tolerate as far as watching. So she won't watch any other board game stuff, even though she likes playing them, but she doesn't like the YouTube stuff except for the funny ones. So.
Hey, and thanks for the comments. I saw that you got the Making a Murderer reference in the video. Right?
That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really glad because I hadn't really heard from anyone. Like, I threw it in there, but you know, I'm not really sure how many people have watched that, and obviously there's a fair few people watching it from like countries outside of the US. So yeah, it was cool to so I appreciate that.
Yeah, between that one is probably my favorite video, and up to that point, your Dark Moon review with all
cool.
the BSG stuff in there was
right.
So, but anyway, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate that too.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been awesome.
I'm glad I could be here for temporarily parts of it every now and then.
Well, at least you didn't have to take off like you did on your... So just before we go, actually, here's a funny tale. So the last live Name and Progress we did, Baker invited one of his close friends on, who he chats to on a regular basis, and left within 5 minutes. So it was just...
Well, I actually had... It was not one of my close friends. It's Aaron from not Beards and Board Games. That's you. From the Boards Alive podcast. Have you ever listened to them, John?
Maybe. I've kind of tried a bunch.
Check them out if you
I've
haven't.
heard of them.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting show. I like it a lot. But Aaron and I started chatting a little bit back and forth, and invited him on, and he came on. And then literally we're like 5 minutes into the show, and I get a phone call from my boss, and I got to go into work. So that was pretty awesome. Just left Georgie and Aaron, who had never talked before.
Yeah, we got like house on fire anyway, Baker. To be honest, I'm gonna go as far as to say it was better without you. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah, I think you might. Yeah, I think you might be right. There was a fair amount of trash talking without my presence. That's why I was listening to it later.
Yeah, man. John, do you want to give us some shameless plug-in before you?
Yes, please. Yeah. So check out my channel, which is YouTube/C/Actualol, and I got a website actualol.com. And you can find me on Facebook and Twitter, also Actualol. I guess I should spell it. ACTUALOL. And I do board game reviews and top tens and vlogs and stuff, and I try and make them funny occasionally. Come and check me out.
Awesome. As usual, it's been me, Georgie, from Beards and Board Games. And I would just like to say as well that as far as your videos go, John, they're awesome, but my favourite one today has still been your couples one.
Cool.
That just really struck home with me and my wife. We thought it was hilarious. Occasionally we still make references to it as well. So
well, I've actually got plans to kind of revisit couples board games because that was like my most popular video. So hopefully, if it all goes well, then you can look out for something like that soon. So yeah, that's really cool. Thanks, man.
No worries, I'll be keeping an eye out. Otherwise, I hope everyone has an awesome day. And as far as the random question goes for this time, do you guys prefer breakfast for supper or supper for breakfast? There's a question for you. Other than that, I'll catch you guys later and hope everyone's having an awesome day. Oh, I will quickly say as well that this episode has been sponsored by GamesLore, one of the largest UK games retailers. It can be found at gameslore.com. Catch you guys later, and ciao!